guys, I better capture this now before she actually blows up. Hear that? She's running really bad. Oh man. So let me tell you what has happened to the Apollo. Not good. Hey guys, welcome back to Quad Nation. So as you just seen prior to the intro, this bike obviously was not running well. In fact, right before that, I had my camera off, but we had just left the house and we were cruising, and I was just cruising at a low speed, maybe 15-20% throttle, and all of a sudden it started bogging down further and further. Now it's always ran choppy for a while now. And I know a lot of you who know a lot about the Apollos have said it's due to the factory carburetor, because they are completely trash, garbage carburetors that do come with these bikes. Certainly one of the parts of this bike that I can say is garbage. So it has always ran a bit choppy, but it's never lost power, bogged down, as if, much like if you got water in the fuel or your carburetor's just completely gummed up. It's pretty much how it felt. As I was trying to roll into the throttle, it just kept bogging, and I could really only keep it at an idle. As soon as I'd put the engine under a load, obviously I was in neutral, I was at a standstill once it lost power. Anytime I'd go to put the engine under a load and take off, it would just stall out. I messed with it for about 5 or 10 minutes, and finally I was able to get the RPMs up. I just popped it in the first, laid into the throttle, and once I pretty much had it pegged out for about 30 seconds or so, I was like, okay, it's still running really bad, let me hit this camera on. I didn't think about it until then, so I fired the camera up, and that's kind of where this video started. Funny thing is, after I went through that quick run, it started running normal again. Of course choppy, because again, the carburetor is garbage. Still choppy, doesn't run totally smooth, but it had plenty of power and wasn't trying to shut off on me. So I'm not sure, maybe I had a little bit of water in the tank. I'm not sure how it would have got in there. Maybe there was some trash going through the carburetor, who knows. Either way, that was the first time that has ever happened to me on this Apollo. Other than it running a bit rough due to that carburetor, it is a awesome bike. Okay, I'm not saying this, I'm not because this bike was sponsored to me. It wasn't. You guys know I paid for this bike on my own, but I will say it is an awesome bike for all of those of you that are asking. So something I do have to say is I've had the bike for about a year now, a little over a year, and it has probably, I don't have an hour meter on it, but if I had to guess, for sure over 50 hours, but less than 100, somewhere between 50 and 100 hours. Okay, the bike has been running great up until I let some of my buddies and family ride the bike. Okay, I am happy to say that I'm still satisfied with the Apollo. However, I think when it comes to abuse, the name brand bikes, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, etc., I think those bikes are going to be able to handle the abuse a little bit better. Okay, I do believe those are tougher bikes. What happened is I let some folks ride this bike, and they were beginners. And I said, you know what? I'm not putting them on Megatron. That's the star of the channel. That's a very high performance quad. That's not a good idea for a beginner. Then my KTM, I was throwing some beginners on the KTM, but I, sold it for the big 3 for my Raptor. So the only other quad I had was the Polaris Trail Boss, but the silent chain is slipping right now. So that's a no-go either. So the only other bike left that would be good for a beginner was the Apollo. So I always explain that there are 4 really important things for a beginner, okay? I explain this to every rider that gets on my bike, so that way I try to prevent any catastrophic damage to the engine or transmission. And the 4 things are: don't over-rev the bike, don't bog the bike, shift while using the clutch, pull in the clutch, shift, let out the clutch. And the 4th thing is, do not stomp on the gear shifter, because if you strip that shaft there, I'm not going to be very happy, because I'm going to have to open up the entire engine to replace the shaft. So those are the 4 things: don't over-rev, don't bog, shift using the clutch, and don't stomp on the gear shifter. Well, they were stomping on the gear shifter, but the gear shifter, I have to say, very strong. I was quite surprised, okay, because that's usually something that'll go quick if someone's stomping on it, especially on the cheaper bikes like this. The gear shifter hung in there. Pretty much everybody that was on this bike that was new was not using the clutch between gears. So what would they do? It sounded like this. And that's shifting without a clutch, and in that case you risk stripping a tooth off of a gear in a transmission, or just destroying it altogether. Then last, they would over-rev the bike. I didn't really have anybody bogging the bike, and I'd rather them bog it than over-rev it, but if you're wondering what bogging is, basically it sounds like this. When you lug, that's lugging. It sounds like a tractor. When you lug, you risk burning your clutch. But in most cases, what I was seeing is my family and friends was over-revving the bike, and it sounded like this. That's over-revving. When you over-rev, you risk blowing your motor apart. Alright, what I'm going to do now is, finish telling you guys my super epic fail story about how this bike is clapped out. And I promise you, it is clapped out. I'm going to go ahead and get on it, just so that way it's a little bit more enjoyable to hear me talk then, because at least you get to hear the roar of the bike and maybe a spin out or a crash here or there. Okay, so anyways, it still cranks up like a champ, just like that. Super easy. All right, so when I had my family and friends riding a bike, at one point I was leading, correction, I was at the back of the pack, okay? And so the Apollo was at the front, and while on Megatron, I couldn't hear the individual that was riding the bike. I couldn't hear where they were at in the RPM range. Unbeknownst to me, this individual, or a couple of them, was holding the bike wide open throttle for miles in like 2nd or 3rd gear. Pretty much, let me demonstrate. See, I don't even want to do it, but pretend it was like this for like 3 miles. Alright. What it did to my bike is it threw something out of whack. I can't describe it. See, it's running rough, but that's because of the carburetor. But I can't explain exactly what happened until I open up the engine. But something, my friends, is clapped out, okay? This bike has always vibrated the crap out of you in higher RPMs, but it was always a smooth, non-aggravating vibration, okay? Now, it feels like something's about to blow apart, okay? So, I will show you. Let me get into go through the power range. Let me go through the complete power band. So, if I'm in third gear, bike is super smooth, super smooth. I'm gonna roll into the throttle and I'll tell you when I feel it. Right there, really, really rough. I know you probably cannot hear it. You definitely can't feel it, but there's something very, it's like it gets to a certain point, it's running smooth, it starts vibrating as it should, as it revs up. Most everything vibrates a little bit, but then all of a sudden, it's like something's about to, and right now, even at this RPM range, it's like it almost turns on and off. It's really, really funky. It's like it's out of whack or something. Hey, family! Familia! I don't know if I said that right, but...
Yeah, you did. Familia.
Fist pump, Daddy? Oh, that was nice. I love the flick.
Daddy.
I love the flick. There we go. Fist pump, buddy.
Look how high the river is.
Oh, there. Hey, fist pump, buddy.
Look how high it is.
So back to storytelling. So I can feel this vibration in every gear. All right. It's not the carburetor running rough, although I am happy to say I'm going to upgrade the carburetor. All of you who have been poking me at upgrading the carb, you finally have gotten to me. I'm going to upgrade it, so keep an eye out for that video. Hopefully it'll run a lot smoother. But back to this vibration, all of you know that as an engine increases its RPMs, there is going to be a side effect, and that is the engine is going to vibrate a little bit more and a little bit more. But what this is it's just like, it's like all of a sudden the crank is giving out, like it's jump timing but still runs good, which that doesn't happen. I mean, if you jump timing, usually it runs like really crap, really hard to crank up, doesn't have power because timing's off. But the counterbalancer and everything will be thrown out of whack. So it's almost what it feels like, is the counterbalance is like thrown out of whack, because like right now, oh, do y'all hear that? There it goes. You can hear it on the handlebars. It's voop, 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 voop. So that's not normal. So what happened was they were revving it up for miles on end at top RPM, even higher than that. I don't even want to do it because I think she's about to pop. But revving it up extremely high for miles, and if I had to guess what it is, I suspect that it's a bent valve slightly. Enough to where it runs well, cranks up easy, but I do think a valve is slightly tweaked. You guys let me know what you think it is. I'm open to opinions, and if you just think I'm crazy, I'm not going to get upset. Just tell me what you think, but something is not right. But what's wonderful about this is now that something's not right and it's kind of annoying, now honestly, I'm going to blow this thing up anyways. So comment down below, are you in favor of me trying to blow this thing up, okay? And what I'm going to do is, I found another crate motor for $325. I'm going to buy that, okay? I'm going to put it back into this Apollo. But first I'm going to blow this one up. So comment down below. I know some people are not in favor of blowing up perfectly good bikes, but this one's not really perfectly good anymore. So I kind of have an excuse or a reason to blow it up. So let me know if you are in favor or not of me trying to put this thing through the ultimate cruelty test. Like, I'm just going to, I don't know if I'm just going to go top speed, wide open as long as I can on a long road, or if I'm going to go in first or second gear and try to blow it up, or stay in neutral and just thread line it forever. I want to see how well this thing is put together now that something isn't right. So you guys let me know what you think. Should I blow it up or not? But now that I'm done rambling on, let's go ahead and race Quad Nation Junior. This is gonna be epic. On you! Whoa, 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 whoa. Go! Go, Quad Nation!